Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. Thank you very much for joining us for week 2 webinar. Week 2 has been all about cyber threats. And today we are excited to be joined by a guest speaker who is going to complement the content that we have been interacting with throughout the entire week. Today we are joined by Mr. Taha Farouk. Taha is a cybersecurity professional with 5 years of experience and professional certifications such as Junior Penetration Tester, Offensive Security Certified Professional, and Certified Red Team Professional. He has 3 common vulnerability and exposures under his name for his research, and he specializes in red team, threat emulations, and adversarials. He is the founder and the CTO of Achinsec, which provides cybersecurity training simulations. He has quite the impressive CV, and we are really excited to have him in today's webinar. Mr. Farouk, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Patricia. I'm really honored to be here with everyone. So on today's session, I'll be mostly emphasizing talking about cyber threats. So I have prepared a slide for this session, and as well we have a demonstration that is going to be on the run after the slide is being passed off. So let me share my screen so that we can begin off with the slides. Okay, so in our daily lives, we're actually surrounded with different technologies, and different technologies are actually being emerging. So we have new ways of communicating and new ways of reaching out to students and sharing knowledge. And even we have learning management systems on the loose actually and on the run. So everybody's coming up and implementing different technologies to cope up with the education system. But what we don't really see that is happening behind all this is actually creating even a larger interest cap for cyber threats, as well cyber actors to actually cause cyber threats. So on today's session, I'll be talking about a few of the cyber threats and how to protect ourselves and secure ourselves against these cyber threats. And as well, we're going to be talking about what are threat actors, and we will delve into the depth of how a threat actor is able to actually perform several attacks to gain access to your devices as well as your credentials. So as the title for the slide says, cyber threats, an overview of cyber threats on today's technological generation. So we shall be exploring the basics of cyber threats and how they can impact the personal and educational environment. So let's start off with what is a cyber threat. So a cyber threat can be referred to as a malicious activity that can exploit the network or technologies or softwares with a certain aim. So the aim can be to compromise data, to compromise the privacy or the system's integrity. But it is all caused by the different drive that the malicious actor has. And this malicious actor is what we will be terming as the threat actor. Now, threat actors actually come from a different wide range of categories. So we have the threat actors such as hackers. These can be individuals with advanced technical skills who exploit vulnerabilities for personal gain or to cause harm. So this is one of the, for example, in today's updates in the news of the world, we actually have this attack most happening with Ghost Tech. Ghost Tech is actually a malicious hackers criminal group. They are cyber criminals, which actually is a collective of hackers who engage in exploiting vulnerabilities in different organizations for a personal gain. They do not want anything else other than personal gain or just to cause harm for fun. And as the title says, it's for the lose, so that's how they claim it to be. So then we have cyber criminals. So these are actually a collective of hackers or individuals or organized groups. So cyber criminals cannot be only hackers, a collective of hackers. They can consist of different individuals from different professionals. So maybe we can have a professional from the category or the field of networking. Maybe we can have a professional from the field of SCADA systems, industrial control systems. So they can all join up together to create a cyber criminal organization. And their main aim is to do illegal activities, and they have a drive for financial gain, or maybe just causing harm, or they can be hired by a certain group of people. So, and then we have state-sponsored actors. Now, state-sponsored actors, these are what we see mostly from North Korea. We have this group in North Korea that is called the APT38 and APT51. These are APT stands for Advanced Persistent Threat. So these are actually code names which are provided by Mitra for the criminal organization, which actually cyber criminal organization, which actually is sponsored by the state. So one of these organizations, which are actually sponsored by the state, is known as Golden Egg. We have the Golden Egg, we have the Golden Pandas, and we have Lazarus. So these are one of the most common APTs, which are actually state-sponsored. So these state-sponsored actors, they are actually provided tasks with government or government-affiliated groups to perform cyber espionage or launch cyber attacks for a political or economic or military purpose or gain. And this is what we see mostly going over on North Korea. So moving forward with cyber threat, I think that's basically the brief introduction of what cyber threat is and who are the people causing the cyber threat. So let's see one of the most common cyber threats that we are facing nowadays. So in most of education facilities, you might have just wake up one day, you head to school, and you head over to the computer lab, and you find out that almost all the computers in the network are actually affected with malware. Now, you're wondering what is going on with these computers. How might have this happened? So basically, this might have happened because of the low awareness of cyber threats and cybersecurity knowledge. So one of the most common cyber threats which actually attacks in such infrastructures is actually the malware. So a malware is actually, it's a derivative that comes from a combination of malicious software. So this can be a type of software which is actually programmed by anybody. It can be programmed by a programmer, or maybe a security enthusiast, a researcher, a malware developer. They can be programmed as a system, a software, an application, or even a website that can cause harm. So basically, it's an executable, or maybe it can be a zero-click or a one-click vulnerability. When I say this, I mean that it can be a malware which actually doesn't need to be clicked or executed to trigger itself. So the main aim for these malwares are actually to steal data, to harm computer, disrupt the operations. So what we are seeing in most of the organization nowadays is that malwares are affecting 100 of networks and they replicate. Now this is what we call worms. Worms can be malware, a special malware, which is actually equipped with the ability and the function to move from one computer to another computer within the network. So that is what happened to the school that you woke up, you just head over to the school and found that the computer lab is actually all affected. And it all happened because one computer was infected with the malware. So one computer being infected with this malware was the reason why all the network was compromised and affected with the malicious software. Now, malicious software can be delivered through different methods. And one of the most common methods is through email. So we are very familiar with how we send emails and receive email from different parties. But one thing that we do not really take into notice is how we open the malicious content without even knowing you are opening the malicious content. So we might have received an email from a certain party claiming to be a trusted party, and this email contains a malicious software. They ask you to open it up. So say the email is coming from the head of department perhaps, and the head of department is saying that, hey, I have this software, it's not working on my computer. Can you check it out if this works on your computer? And you just launch it up. You download it from the email, you launch it up on your computer, but that's a big mistake. You're actually making a big mistake that will actually might cause the whole infrastructure to be affected. And that is one of the ways for delivering the malware. Now we have the next common cyber threat known as phishing. So we have hackers. Hackers do anything to get information and gain access. And one of the ways is phishing. Phishing is a part of social engineering. So to perform phishing, a hacker must first know their target. They must know their target very well, that they must persuade them with their phishing skills. And how can phishing be done? Phishing can be done through many ways. We have phishing through email and phishing through the web. For a threat actor to perform this cyber threat well, he must first know the target well and craft a very persuading payload. For a payload, when I say a payload, I mean the means for gathering information from the target or the victim. This payload should allow the victim to trust it and give up information through it. Now, the cyber criminals use this trick most of the time after studying their individuals, and sometimes they don't even need to study the individuals who they're actually targeting. They just set it up in a public space or the public internet, like maybe a fake Instagram page, where actually you just go to Google, you search Instagram and you think it's the real Instagram, but deep down it's not the real Instagram. It's just a phishing page that is actually created by the malicious actor. And once you put your credentials in, you're done. The threat actor has your credentials and is able to log into your account. And phishing is commonly used in banks, and it's a very, very critical attack when it happens, as it may lead to impersonating the user or maybe data breaches and even worse. And lastly, from the common cyber threats that I've mentioned, there are actually a lot of cyber threats, but these are actually a few of the most common which I mentioned. We have ransomware. Now, a ransomware is a malware. It can be a malware which is actually crafted to claim a ransom from the target. So it can be executed on the device, a computer or a phone, and once it's executed to it, it will actually prompt up a message that requires you to pay a certain amount to get your data decrypted. So the moment you execute this malicious software, which is known as a ransomware, the first thing it does, it encrypts all of your information, all of your data from your device. And it's even worse if it's a worm. It has worm characteristics, like it can replicate itself through the network. That's even worse, as it might jump on from one device to another device through over the network, and it might lead to infecting all of the devices in the network, which will have you indebted to pay the certain amount which is actually claimed for you to get your data decrypted. Now, that's a very, very critical threat that is actually most scared threat in the technological news actually right now. So most of the organizations are actually being hit by ransomware in today's update. And this is because ransomware is actually evolving to even a further stage, which is RAAS, ransomware as a service. So there are actually cyber threat actors who actually create ransomware as a service. So they create a bunch of ransomware that they actually set in a bulk as an asset for the second party, and the second party uses it somewhere, and they both earn money. So basically, the whole point of ransomware is to actually gain financial gain. Yeah. So moving forward from common cyber threats, we shall discuss about the impacts of cyber threats on personal environment and education. So what might happen when you are affected by a cyber threat or you are facing a cyber threat? Now, it might have not reached you yet, but what we're talking about right now is the impacts or the risks of what the impacts might be. Now, the first thing, these are only a few of what might happen, but there are actually even a lot more, and I'll share the link later on after the session is over. So we first have data breaches. So education institutions handle vast amount of students and staff data, including PIIs, personally identifiable information. These might include your postal address, your email, your full name, your father's, your family's information, as well as your educational status and information as well. So it might also include your financial information, such as credit cards or account numbers. Yeah, all that information they're all stored by the educational institutions. So if it happens that you're facing a cyber threat into the education institution, this might be leading to a data breach, as in the data that is stored by the institution might lead to be published in public or the internet. And this could be known as a data breach, where all of these data are actually breached and published public for anyone to access. Now, how does this happen? This happens when an attacker or a cyber threat actor is able to gain access to the internal infrastructure or the infrastructure of the educational institution and is able to dump the database. So this might be through malwares or through phishing or social engineering. It might be any other technique that the threat actor is using. But in the end of the day, it can lead to data breaches. And when this happens, it causes a bad reputation, and not only that, the data is all public and available for everyone to see. So all your bank information, your personal information, your family's information, they're all publicly available for everyone to see. And next up, we have intellectual property theft. So cyber attacks targeting educational institutions may aim to steal valuable research, intellectual property, or sensitive educational materials. So now, I want to explain this point in a more scenario in a more scenario approach. So assume this: there is a certain student who is also a hacker. So basically, he is skilled in cybersecurity, but he's using his cybersecurity knowledge for the bad. And he is not good in some subjects at school, but he wants to top up in his subject. And assume that the school or the educational institution is using an online learning management system and an online grading system. So say that your grading system, for you to grade your system after the exams, you actually take all of the results, you sketch them up, you run them up through Excel, and after that you pass them down to the learning management system or the student information management system for the student to access through the portal. Now, what happens there is you're actually saving it to the database. Now, the student who is a hacker or a threat actor in this case will be able to access the database with different various techniques. Maybe by social engineering, the student might perform phishing to the teacher or the system administrator having access to the server or the database. And in the end, after gaining access to this certain database, the student will be able to dump, change, or edit, or upload and update any data which is actually available through the database. So what happens is the student needs to change his academic information, and he also needs to have access to all other students' academic information. What happens? The student actually has access to the database. All he has to do is to just touch up his student ID number and update the grades that he wants to have. And in the end, he has access. He has accessed the database, and he has caused the threat, and he has actually tricked the system, and he has been able to actually enhance his grades. And this is actually, even in our scenario, most of the students' information might be published and breached as well. So it goes back to leading to data breaches. And in other hand, it could be for financial gain. So the student might use the STEM access to actually upgrade the grades for other students. So the student might come in the student and be like, yo, I need you to help me update my grades. So yeah, I've been doing bad lately in this semester. So how can you help me out in that? And the student is going to be like the third actor now. It's going to be like, okay, sure. How much are you going to pay me? I'm going to pay a certain amount. Okay, why not? So he's going to do it for financial gain, and in the end, maybe also sell off exams. So perhaps you're saving or storing the exams in the answers as well in the database. So assume you're using Moodle, for example. Moodle has an option to publish an assessment, and you have an option also to automate the answers which are actually available for the assessment. So the student might perform phishing and gain access to the teacher of the certain topic, and he will have access to all the teacher's upcoming assignments and answers. So in the end, it leads to intellectual property theft as well as data breach, since he has the database. So moving forward, we have online harassment. Now, this is the part where most of the students actually go through, and in the current generation. So being available with everything on the internet is actually a downfall or an absent for different approaches. So cyber threat can manifest as online harassment, bullying, and stalking, causing emotional distress and psychological harm. So there was a trending video of a certain student who was actually being bullied online by this threat actor, who was actually studying in the same school with the student. I saw this on a certain social media application. I forgot where it was, but in the end, the actor that was actually the threat actor who was actually bullying the student. This is known as cyberbullying. Who was actually bullying the student for having access to his mobile phone. He actually installed a spyware to his mobile phone, meaning that he was able to access all of his pics and all that. So he was actually using it against him. So in the end, the threat actor actually he was actually caught up with the police, and he was actually he was sentenced to juvenile. So this is one of the bad things that can happen to one of our most students. They're actually visiting and accessing every link which is actually shared by everyone who is available through the internet. So this is a bad thing. So once a threat actor knows what you're doing or where you go to school to and what you like, what you do, they can use all these small details to actually create a way to actually gain access towards you. And in this way, the threat actor will now be able to know your weakness, and through your weakness, he will exploit you. So yeah, that is the path for online harassment. And lastly, we have identity theft. As I said, let's get back to the point: intellectual property theft. We are assuming the student who is the threat actor has access to a teacher's account in Moodle, for example. Now, Moodle is a learning management system. The student has access to Moodle as a certain teacher. What the student does, he can perform identity theft, the threat actor. Now, in this case, he can send all other students in the same course and telling them that, okay, we don't have any other session upcoming, and you are all escalated as a pass to this subject. So yeah, all those things can happen, and even worse is when they access the data from the database. So if a threat actor is able to access data from the database, he can be able to perform identity theft using the details or the data that he has found through the database. So say he has the database saved details such as your name, your last name, your email, your phone number, your password, your credit card information, your CVC, and the expiry date. What might happen? The threat actor will take your credentials and use them to log in maybe in different various applications. And if you're using the password in some other applications, This means that the threat actor will gain access all over your account. And once this happens, the attacker can post messages and post what we call this, tweets or Instagram posts or whatever as yourself. So he will actually be impersonating your identity through the credentials that he has found from the database. And lastly, the attacker will even be able to use your credit card information and details to actually purchase other things online, causing you a financial loss. Now, with all that being explained, I think that's quite an interesting and awareness-raising topic. Let's move on to security measures. Now, what can we do to prevent this from happening? Now, these are some of the listed measures that can be taken into consideration from school facilities and educational institutions. Now, first thing is firewall and antiviruses. Now, most of the schools set up firewalls and antiviruses, but they are not updated. They need to be patched. So you find a certain school or education institution is having a certain firewall, maybe let's say Symantec endpoint security. So they have installed Symantec endpoint security, but they're using the very least cracked version of it. This means the attacker might be having a vulnerability to exploit that version. And what's the worst case scenario in this case? He will be able to actually bypass that firewall or antivirus without the firewall or antivirus noticing it. So one thing to take into note is firewalls and antivirus. We really need to update ourselves with these firewalls and antivirus into the latest versions and not use the outdated versions. Yeah. And the next thing is network monitoring. So network monitoring will actually help monitor the pattern of how your traffic flows through the school network. So let's say most of the students are actually visiting a certain page which actually hosts malicious applications. So once you realize that through network monitoring, you can actually put the site down through firewall, meaning that the students won't be able to actually access it. And if it happens that the student is actually visiting or downloaded a certain application which is actually malicious from the certain website, this means that the network monitoring software or tool that is actually implemented will be able to catch that up and report that up to the system administrator. And yeah, that's it for network monitoring. Now let's move on to security awareness training. Now this thing is where most of the educational facilities, the educational institutions lack. Now we find that a majority of education institutions, they don't really value raising the cybersecurity awareness to their teachers and students. And in the end, this leads to cyberbullying. This leads to irregular compromises of devices. This leads to irregular or unauthenticated access to different management systems, such as the student information management system or learning management system. And this can also lead to data breaches. So one thing that security awareness training does is to actually help the staff, the teachers, and the students also to keep in touch with the knowledge of what cyber threats might be, or there might be out there on the internet that they might face. Now, with all that said, I think I've explained lots of what cyber threats are and the threat actors, and also the impact of what the cyber threats might cause, as well as security measures to take when dealing with cyber threats. Yeah. This will be it for the slides. I think we should proceed with the demonstration. Now, before we head over to the questions and answers, the Q&A sessions. Now, for the demonstration, I'm actually going to be demonstrating how a threat actor or a hacker is able to perform phishing through email. Okay. So basically, this is my exploit. What I'm going to be doing is I am going to replicate and impersonate a certain user from Gmail. So let's say this user is maybe, I'm going to use my email or email education. I'm going to use the email, the name Hekima Education and the email Hekima Education. The next thing I'll do is run this exploit. After running this exploit, I'll just access it through the web. Okay. 127 0.8,000. Now, as you can see, the exploit is running well, and what I can do now is set in an email such as ekimaeducation@gmail.com, and the receiver is tafarouk.dev. I am tafarouk.dev, and the subject is hello. Let's help installing software. So, okay, assuming that I am Farouk is the target. Now, this is our victim. We know that this victim is working at Hekima Education, but Hekima Education at gmail.com is an email which is owned by the head of department. Now, we can't access this email without the passwords. So we actually need to have the credentials for this email account to be able to send an email to him as this account. So what do? We perform spoofing. The first thing, this will be a more technical session, but I won't go deep into the technical session. But basically, as a simple technique to know if a certain website is spoofable or not, we can run the command dig txt underscore general. Let me just increase the screen size. Gmail.com. Now this here will actually check if the Gmail domain has the DMARC policy set. Now what will this mean? If it has the policy well set, this means that we will be able to actually not impersonate the Gmail domain. But if it doesn't have this policy set, it means that we might be able to impersonate the domain.
Taha, you're not sharing what you're talking about. The only thing we can see is
Oh, okay, sorry. Right. Let me just. I forgot. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, this is my terminal. Okay. We shall wait and see if we can receive any response. So this will be reached. Okay, no problem. Let's do Outlook.com. Let's check on Outlook. Okay, so looks like there's a problem here with the service or with my command, but let's proceed with it anyways. Back here. So first things first, I'm going to sketch in a very pleasant message. Dear Taha, sorry for the early disturbance. but I have been trying to install this software in my computer, but I have not been able to execute it. Can you please help me run it, see if it works on your end? Okay, fetch a malicious link here. Here is the link, and then he provides the malicious link, as you can see. Now, clicking on sending email, this should attempt to impersonate the user Hekima and send the email to iam@farouk.dev. Now, what's next is we hope that we have received that email, and let me share the screen for my email inbox. Okay, here it is. So this is my email inbox. So I'm expecting the email should have popped up over here. Let's see if the status was set to send. Maybe jump, didn't go to jump. Okay. All right, looks like the email didn't pass through. Let's try a different domain over here. So we shall set in Hekima Education at hekimaeducation.com. For example, we're setting in that as a domain, and let's say our email is farouk@icloud.com. We set in the subject as the same, and we put in the same message as we crafted earlier. I'm just going to copy what was sent earlier and paste it over here. Yeah, I think this will do it. And clicking on sending. Yes,
we can still see your. We are still on your email.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Screen sharing. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
No worries. Thank you. Now, we shall change the domain over here to Hekima Education and set the email as Farouk iCloud, and then we put in the subject and paste the message that we have sent as we had crafted it earlier. Then clicking on send email, this should allow us to receive the email right now. So heading back to the mailbox, we can see that we have the email impersonated, as you can see here. So checking on where the email is actually coming from is hekimaeducation@hekimaeducation.com. But mind you, hekimaeducation.com doesn't exist. As you can see.
Once again.
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Once again, we're seeing a different screen.
Yeah. As you can see here, the email was actually, it went through, and the email was sent from hekimaeducation@hekimaeducation.com, and it came to my address. The subject is help installing software. So the attacker is actually, he knows that the user Farouk is working at Hekima Education and is the target to the threat actor. So what the threat actor did was craft an email, a malicious email, to impersonate the user Hekima Education, who perhaps we can say is the administrator or the head of department, into sending an email to Taha. And the email contained a link saying that, dear Taha, sorry for the early disturbance, but I have been trying to install this software in my computer, but I have not been able to execute it. Can you please help run it and see if it works on your end? Here's the link. and the link is actually the link to a malicious software. So we're not going to click that yet. Let's say the user that is actually being impersonated here doesn't exist. So what happened is this is called as spoofing. Now an attacker is able to actually spoof a certain domain even though it doesn't exist, and we can prove that it doesn't exist by opening a terminal right here. Here, Pink Hekima Education.com. You see it says unknown host. This means that the domain HekimaEducation.com doesn't exist. But nonetheless, the attacker can actually spoof any domain which is actually vulnerable. Now, assume that we are going to spoof, for example, what should we say? Let's try and spoof an Outlook email. So we're going to head back to our web application, and we're going to set in at outlook.com. We shall set in the receiver's email, and we craft the message and we paste it. Then we send the email, and as soon as it says email sent, we shall head back to the mailbox, hoping that it arrived, and we can see that it has arrived over here. Clicking that, we shall see that it's coming from HekimaEducation at outlook.com. But we actually didn't log in as HekimaEducation at outlook.com. Or perhaps we can, it can be anyone. It can be anybody who can be spoofed. So I can even spoof my own email to sending it to myself without even having access to it. Or maybe I can, let's give it a try. Taha Farouk at iCloud.com, or maybe Tafarouk at gmail.com or outlook.com. And the receiver is Tafarouk at outlook.com, and let's say testing spoof. Now sending this. Let's keep checking our email. Okay. You see that there is a new message that has came in. So, okay, now moving forward with this, we have proved that the attacker is able to spoof a certain domain and even create a non-existent domain from the spoofing attack. So we were able to create the domain HekimaEducation.com, even though it doesn't exist, but we are able to do it anyways and use it to send the email to Tafarouk, who is our victim. So we know that he works at Hekima Education, but we don't know the full structure of the email. But what if we do know the full structure of the email and the username or the email addresses? Now, in this case, we can actually craft it in a more detailed manner. So let's move back to the web. Let's say the administrator is maybe John.Albert at we say HekimaEducation.com. We do not have access to John Albert, but we are going to spoof his email into sending our victim. Now, say our victim is again myself, and we want him to execute this software for us. Now we send this email. We click on send. Clicking that, it should say email sent. As soon as it says this, we head back to our inbox, and we shall see that the new message has popped up, and it comes from John Albert at HekimaEducation.com. Now, it says, "Dear Taha, sorry for the disturbance, but I have been trying to install this software in my computer, but have not been able to execute it. Can you please help me run it and see if it works on your end?" Now, what happens is basically a normal user seeing that it comes from a trusted sender, from a sender who he knows. So what happens? He will just take this link and download it anyway. Now, this is where the sad part happens. Let's head back here. security.net. Let's assume this works. Okay, it doesn't work. Test. Okay. So, assuming that the email was sent to the system administrator. Now, always remember the system administrator is taking care of the Linux servers and all that. So the system administrator sees that okay, the boss wants to run this link, but this link is not working on his end. Let me grab this link and try and execute it from my end. So he comes over here on the server. He logs into his school server, the server that he's using at school. He grabs the link. He downloads it. Oh, I need to verify. Okay. Let's he downloads. I'm going to grab this binary, which was actually sent by that the head of department in our case. I'll just move it right here, and I'll move it to another name, maybe example.elf scp example.elf to 172.105.14.114 root/test. Yeah. So, oh, sorry, let's move it as root. Okay. Mind you, we are actually acting like the system administrator now after actually receiving the email and downloading that binary. Now, in this case, we have downloaded the binary as he will do. Now, the binary is right here, the malicious file which was actually sent by the email, through the email. So, in this case, he found the email, the link. He clicked on this environment. Now it's time to test if it works or not. What this system administrator will do in this case, he would first give it execution rights, and then he would run the binary. Now in this case, running the binary, --help, he will try to see --help, what does it do, and what if he runs this, what happens? So the next thing he does, he tries to take a look around the whole execution, the whole executable that run. So he doesn't know what has happened with the executable that has just been run, but basically this executable which has actually been run is actually a malicious executable, and it's a ransomware, which is famously known as Black Cat. Now, this is what most of the people would fall for. When you receive an email from a trusted party and you just execute the binary, in the end, you don't even know what that binary is, and you have just infected your system with a ransomware without even knowing you have infected your system with ransom. Now, what to do to prevent this from happening? But to sketch this up, so you want to protect yourself from what is happening. You might not realize the email as the headers. As the email address might be legit. But what you need to do now is you need to, as a system administrator, of course, in an education institution, you need to know the hash of this executable. So you do something like md5 sum example.elf, and you will get this hash right here. What else do? You head over to virustotal.com. VirusTotal is one of the most famous websites, which you can actually use it to scan for malicious files, maybe IPs, or maybe domains, all that. So we're going to paste the hash right here, and we are going to run it. We're going to see what this hash is actually suspected as. And looks like VirusTotal has been able to flag this hash to be a ransomware. So we can see that 34 out of 62 security vendors and most sandbox flagged this as this file as a malicious. And what type of malicious label does it have? We can see that it's threat labeled ransomware Black Cat. And the initial file name of this file was blackcat.elf. Now, this will help you understand what type of file you are actually going to execute. Yeah, that is it for this nice session. I think I will have to close in right here and leave the rest to Patricia to lead the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Taha, for that absolutely amazing presentation. I can see a lot of people in the chat. Let me get my video back on, sorry. I can see a lot of people in the chat enjoying the presentation, and they have a few questions in the Q&A, but we will not be able to get in depth into all these questions. But Mr. Taha would want to share these with you afterwards, and you can be able to just type out answers for some of these questions because they're very specific to your presentation. So after this, we will share some of those questions, and you can provide us with answers, and then we will share with all the participants in one document where they can read up on all these amazing techniques that you have used. You can share a little bit about the infrastructure that you are using in the presentation, and we'll be able to share with everyone because we have 24 questions and we are not able to go through each and every one of them. And so to our dear participants, please rest assured that we are going to get you all the answers for the Q&A, the ones that you have asked in the Q&A section, and we'll directly work with Mr. Farouk to answer the questions and send them to you. We will also share the recording because you'll be able to then see the different techniques that he's using more closely and also slowly so that you can go at your own pace. So we'll also provide that later on. Maybe just one question. There was a question on how can we trust you, because it does seem that you can hack. So what type of are you a threat actor? Where do you lie on the spectrum of all the hackers that you spoke about?
I'm a good type of hacker. Okay, basically I emulate what threat actors do in a bad way to give in a good way. So in my daily career, people hire me to simulate and emulate how an attacker or a threat actor would actually end up exploiting their whole organization. So in the end, I look like I act as a bad guy, but in the end, I'm the good guy. Yeah, I act as a bad guy to protect the systems. I guess that answers the question.
Yes, absolutely, it does. So in other words, you are a white hat hacker.
Yes,
and so you wear the good hats, whereby you're able to help organizations such as the learning institutions our participants work in to protect their systems by showing them how a real bad guy would be able to use these available techniques and tools to attack them. So that is ideally what Mr. Farouk does. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be sharing this particular webinar with you. We will also share the Q&A document. So please, when we do share it, it will be on the MOOC for Dev platform. So on MOOCit, when you click on week 2, you'll be able to see week 2 webinar. Once it is available mailed to you. We will share an announcement to let you know that it's available there, and you can download the presenter's the slides that he used in the beginning of the presentation, and you can also download the Q&A section to learn more, and we'll also provide links to some of the things that he spoke about during the session. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for giving us some extra time into your next hour and for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Farouk, for gracing our webinar today, and I wish you a very good rest of your day.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody.